Hello everybody, it's Nicole from eKiwi, and today I have another tips and tricks video for you guys. So lately I've been getting a lot of requests, and today I decided to do the eye one. And I just want to say up front that this is not a tutorial on how to draw eyes or how I draw eyes. It's more of giving information so that you guys can learn how to draw your own style of eyes. So giving like the basics of the shapes and different variations and how you can change up the style. So that's what this video is about. So in the beginning you saw the picture of the eye, and that's actually my eye. I tried to take a picture of it, and whenever I tried to focus it, it would just take the picture. So it's not very clear and it's kind of creepy, but it's just to show that well, I'm using my eye so that I don't have to use the picture off the internet. But I have a different eye shape than probably you guys, and my eye probably looks different from you guys. When I first started to develop my style of drawing, I based a lot of the facial features off of realism. So as you can see, I am trying to draw a realistic eye really quickly, but it's not going to be realistic. It's just getting the basics of the shape, like closing off the eye instead of leaving a gap, and adding the red part underneath the eye and stuff like that. So here we have a picture of an eye that I just drew really quickly to demonstrate or to show the three parts that I think are essential to creating your own eye. So the first one is the pupil, and it's the black part of the eye, which controls how much light goes in and out of the eye. Then there's the iris, which is usually the color of the eye, and the sclera, which is the white of the eye. So for the pupil, when there is more light, the pupil gets smaller so you don't gain as much light into the eye, and when there's less light, say in the dark, your pupils grow bigger. However, when you get scared, usually in animation or in cartoons, they show that the eye gets really small compared to the whole eye socket. For the iris, I tend to draw it bigger than the eye socket, just because that's what I've noticed when drawing my own eyes. Unless you were surprised or like you're widening your eyes, then as a normal state, I found that your iris goes around or over the size of your eye socket. Just something to keep in mind is to make the iris be overlapped by the eye socket or eyelid. Now, getting into different eye shapes, there are many different ones, but I'm showing 4 of the ones that I think are the most different from each other. The first one that I chose was the upturned eyes, and these ones are associated with Asian eyes because they're upturned and pointed up, but anyone can have them. They're just basically pointed up instead of down. So the back part of the eye is slanted upwards instead of in the middle or down. The next one would be downturned eyes, which are the opposite, where the back of the eye is slanted downwards, and as you can see, it makes it look a little bit different than the upturned eyes. The next one are almond eyes. And almond eyes are in the shape of an almond, like the name states, and I found when looking them up that they're pretty much flat. The main thing about almond eyes is that they're usually in the shape of an almond, hence their name. And the last one that I chose were round eyes. Now, round eyes can be any of the upturned or downturned or almond, but they're just bigger. I found that they look more circular than angular or than pointy, so just keep that in mind when you're making different eye shapes. Now, there are many different eye shapes. If you look them up on Google, you'll find that there's different eyelids that accompany different eye shapes, like hooded eyelids or deep set eyes, wide set eyes, close set eyes. But I decided not to draw them just because close set and wide set are just based on where you place them, and hooded eyelids and deep set eyelids and such are more based on the eyelids rather than the eyes themselves. There are some times where the eyelid can go over the eye, which creates a different type of eye, but if you look up on the internet hooded eyelids, you will find there are many examples, so I just base it off of that and use it as reference if you want to practice drawing eyes. So lastly, here I am just drawing some eyes, and the first one I drew were the way I drew eyes, but of course this is only one type because I do try to vary the downturned, upturned, almond shaped, or round. This is just my default eyes. Then I just proceed on sketching different kinds of eyes, like the more anime eyes, I put that in quotes, because there are many different eyes that appear in anime. This is just the one that varies the most from my own style, and it's the bigger ones that sometimes people make the iris an oval shape, sometimes they're circle. It just depends on the style. And I keep going with some Winx Club examples where their eyes are completely closed off, whereas in my style the front of the eye is opened up, and in anime style sometimes they are open up really wide. And as you can see, there are many different ways to draw eyes. The way I drew them and the ones that I showed are not the only ones. If you saw Mark Crilley's drawing 100 eyes, as you can see, there are plenty of different types of eyes and styles of eyes, and I think that many of them just use the basics of basing it off what they know of a real eye. So adding the eye shape and varying eye shapes and adding the iris and the pupil are pretty important. And then if you're coloring it, adding the sclera is pretty important because I think without it, sometimes it looks weird with the sclera being flesh colored. So here I have two people that I tried to draw identical, and the only thing that's going to be different from them is their eyes. And I just want to show you how different eyes can affect the way people look. So on the first one, I'm just going to make it quote-unquote anime eyes, or bigger eyes. And on the second one is my style of eyes. And if you can see, they look quite different, even though their pose, their clothes, their hair, and their facial structure is the same. And this just shows how eyes can affect how the character looks. So if you want a bubbly personality, maybe you want a rounder eye instead of an angular, like slanted eye, just so that it shows personality. So like people say, the eyes really express a lot, and say you have a suspicious character but they have giant round eyes with huge eyelashes and such, perhaps they won't look as suspicious as if they had very narrow eyes that are always like shifting around. I just want to end saying that you guys can find your own style using these tips and tricks, and I feel like they will help you find a way that you like to draw eyes compared to copying someone else's eye style. I would suggest taking the elements of what you like from their different eye styles and incorporating it in your own instead of just copying it, and making something that's your own unique eye style that you find very flattering or that you like. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!